can start giving you an overall introduction of how the idea came up and what we are doing now.
Of course. Nice meeting you.
Nice to
Nice
meet
to
you
meet you.
also. So first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. We are really happy to be with you and also to talk with the real side of Pink. It's a really nice opportunity to share with you this project, this company and this brand. So we are really happy to be here with you talking about Desserto. So we started Desserto about 3 years ago. We started only with research and development. We took 3 years to get this product and we launched it only 8 months ago. This started with an idea to develop one material that is highly sustainable and organic and that could be a real alternative to big brands, small brands, and middle brands to adopt alternatives that are more sustainable that were materials. So we start with cactus. In this case, we select one plant that is called here in Mexico nopal. So nopal is a cactus plant that it is a symbol of the flag of Mexico. So it's really important to us mention this because it represents us as Mexicans, and we are really happy to work with this kind of plants. Also, this plant is abundant here in Mexico, here in all the country, and it has many properties that is used already in many industries, such as the food industry, such as in the concrete, in the painting industry, in the cosmetics industry. So we start to research a lot about this plant, and we figured out that this was the special one to start with this project because the footprint, because the footprint of this plant is almost nothing. Because talking about the water, I mean, here's the water use, talking about the chemicals that this product do not have, talking about the reduction of waste. So in this case, we choose cactus because it's a plant, hydroscopic plant. It means that it do not need any irrigation systems. Only with the raining, so with the water of the humidity, the cactus can grow. So the footprint of the use of water reduce a lot in this case. Also the fields are 100% organic. It means that we don't need never to use any herbicides, any herbicide, any pesticide. So it's also a reduction of this kind of chemicals in the plantation of the material. So we took years to develop how to extract this protein of the cactus and how to make it a material that is currently used in the fashion and automotive industry. So Adrian and me and Martin, we both were working before in the fashion industry, in the automotive industry, and also Adrian was also working in the furniture industry. So we have the knowledge, we have the experience working with fabrics, with textiles, but one day we decide to do something together and try to give to this industry a solution to the contamination, to the pollution that all these materials give us in a bad way because they make a lot of contamination. So we just decide to do something together, and we decide to start with cactus because we're a Mexican plant, it's abundant, and the footprint of the material is almost nothing.
Okay, I think it's really interesting what you're doing. We are very interested in your projection because we think that this will change the future of fashion. It is one of the most interesting initiatives to replace animal leather. So one of my questions for you is, what procedure do you follow to obtain the skin of cactus? We are very interested to knowing how do you do this from the very first step, get to know this procedure.
Sure. So, as Marta was mentioning, we have to take into consideration many aspects. At the first steps of the process, we have to mention that cactus, it's a perennial plantation. It means that we don't have to harvest, to grow and harvest the plantation every year, just like corn or other plants that which harvest has to happen annually. This increases the land use change, which is something to take into consideration when we talk about sustainability. In our case, the plantations can last about 8 years. So the same plant is going to give us raw material constantly every 6 to 8 months, roughly. And we only cut the mature leaves. You know, cactus has different leaves of different sizes. We only take the mature ones, the ones that have a greater biomass. And the ones that are still growing, we'll leave them there so they can grow. And when ready, then these are harvested and then processed. Um, so this cactus species we work with, as all cactus, belongs to a plant family that it's called CAM. It means that it is a crassulacean acid metabolism plant. This is different from most species of plants, which are C3 class. C3 class plants operate through chlorophyll and do their metabolism is working during the daytime. They work with sunlight and they generate chlorophyll. They do their carbon dioxide absorption and emit oxygen. Cactus, being a crassulacean acid metabolism plant, it operates during nighttime. So during nighttime is when it actually absorbs CO2, creates oxygen, and during the early morning, it opens its stoma and it absorbs, like Marta mentioned, through hydroscopic systems, the water present in the morning dew. So there is it is very autosufficient and efficient and resilient, being very resistant towards plagues and insects. We don't have to use any chemicals. So until this point, we have already addressed two sustainability factors, which is water consumption and chemical consumption in the feedstock, which in this case is cactus. Now, we also are reducing the land use. After we cut and select these leaves, these are carried to within the ranch to an area where we clean them. The spikes are very small and soft, so it's also very safe for our agricultural team to harvest and process. Then they are, after clean, placed into an equipment which is going to refine the material, and then we dry it under the sun for about 3 days. So we are also saving energy in this point because we rely on solar energy instead of using other sources like it could be gas to dry such feedstock. After that, then we have to do some extracts of proteins present within cactus. As Martin mentioned also, these proteins are widely known for having great performance and characteristics in the makeup industry, especially because it's very friendly to human skin, and it also works as a natural adhesive. It means that it can stay on your skin for a long time without damaging it. And also in the construction industry, it's used to make concrete much more resistant towards humidity because it has permeability properties. So this protein then it's mixed in the formulation along the cactus fiber and another series of additives. So that then we can finally have our patent formulation, which is then bring to the mill, which is in Mexico City. The ranch and everything that I am talking about, it's located in central Mexico, a little bit to the north. It's in the state of Zacatecas, between Zacatecas, Aguascalientes, and Luis Potosí. This area in Mexico is the one that concentrates the highest amount of cactus of this species in the world. So it is abundant. There is a surplus of this plant because not only some ranches harvest it and grow it, but it grows widely. So it is native from the region. And important to mention, we don't cut any trees to plant it. because we use fields that are already open for cultivation, and because our ranch is fully organic, we don't damage the microflora and microfauna of the soil. So wild fauna like hogs find an interesting environment to get aliment, and these plantations, excuse me, blends very well in the biodiversity of the area, being a native plant of it. So opposite of deforestation, we are actually foresting the areas that were previously used for other kind of non-perennial plantations. Then in Mexico City, what we do is a series of processes which involve a lot of biochemistry, chemistry, nanotechnology, and many different kind of engineering aspects to finally make our products. The product, it's made and thought, designed, and engineered in such a way that it's going to offer an alternative which is highly sustainable, with a high or plant-based organic content, that it's going to be an alternative in terms of performance to animal and fox leather in industries such as fashion, automotive, and a great advantage is that we can offer different colors, textures, thicknesses. It's fully customized. We can even blend it with different materials out there in the market, like recycled fibers. So we can make materials which have our cactus bioformulation and which are mixed with recycled cotton, recycled polyester, biodegradable fabrics. So it makes the material even much more complete in terms of mixing all this variety of existent sustainable options. The material is highly biodegradable, as you were just mentioning in the introduction, but also it is highly recyclable, either mechanically or chemically, and being very organic and safe. When recycled, it doesn't free up any toxic substances that are present in most materials which are more commonly used. And so the recycling process is safe, is clean, and you can give it a second life with no problem if you would. And it is the aim of the whole project is to relieve the environmental alarming situation that fashion industry is facing by designing materials in a responsible, innovative way to reduce the impact of the final products after the consumer discarded, which eventually in most cases will end up in a landfill. And we know that in landfills, only about 10% of waste is incinerated, which is not a sustainable practice. Very small percentage, about 6 to 8% is recycled, and the rest is just left there under anaerobic landfill conditions. But the problem is that these are 90% is not of the materials and that are in the landfills aren't biodegradable. So we are already out of the planetary boundaries. So we know that the waste that the industry is generating has surpassed the capability of the planet to handle it. And so by doing our products, we are addressing this issue. And the challenge was to make this innovation scalable enough to be a real alternative in terms of quantities to be supplied to big production lines, and also in performance. And so this is Desserto. It's a material, a real alternative, which works along nature, not against it, to bring green technologies into the industry.
Okay, I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And as I said, it does not only function for the fashion industry, but automotive, and in general to generate conscience for society. So really, I'm also interested in asking, how does the supply chain work? How do you obtain the supply chain? Because we're all interested in knowing, as designers, as producers, what is the procedure for this?
The supply chain involves, at the first stage, the agricultural sector. Now, we know that sustainability, as you mentioned, it's the supply chain plays a great role. So what we do is that we try to keep at the shortest distance all of our feedstocks. And in terms of sustainability, we address and attend not just environmental impact, but also social impact, labor conditions, and we develop a new business model in which we are adding value to this plant, which previously was a very underrated and just like directed to one industry with very low demand and very low economically talking return. So by increasing the, the, the through technology transfer from one industry, which in this case is the textile industry, to the agricultural sector directed specifically to these cactus plantations, we are actually adding value and developing a material through technology so it can be a feedstock to a huge industry. So we are stimulating the rural economy. We are aligning them so that we can collaborate all together through all these organic standards that we need and must be certain that are going to be complied with. And most importantly, we know that because global warming, I mean, the environment is changing and shifting much more quickly than before. So regions in the world that used to have rain now don't have it, and backwards, and we have snow where it didn't snow. So this is changing too fast, and it especially affects the agricultural sector. It's one of the most vulnerable sectors affected by this problematic. Now, the virtue or the virtue of cactus is that it doesn't matter if it rains or not. It doesn't matter if you have access to water or not from an agricultural perspective. It doesn't matter if you have the economic means to buy or not herbicides, pesticides, fertilizer, expensive chemicals. So the soil, it doesn't matter if the soil is it's ideal for cultivating or not. I mean, it has relevance, but in cactus, we know that it grows in the desert. That's why we call it Desserto, right? It's very resilient. And so
I'm actually in love with the name Desserto. I mean, before getting to know your story, I thought, what is Desserto? Why? And when I saw the editorials with the accessories, the bags with the cactus, for people who are activists and constantly fighting for the environment and also labor rights, we're enlightened with your brand, the whole name, the whole idea, the whole project. I think it's amazing. So we want to congratulate you also for this great work that you're doing for society. And we also wanted to ask you, considering labor rights and the problems we have today with workers' rights and this constant problem and exploitation with these brands that do not respect workers' rights, how can you explain to us what's the difference between your company between other companies with relation to work labor?
we have a code of conduct, and we work with safe feedstocks. So our code of conduct addresses from labor wage, which has to be fair, from no discrimination, no child labor, no corruption, etc. And then from social, it goes to chemical. So we work with safe raw materials. We have, of course, our safety data sheet and our safety processes in which our employees are protected through all the value chain of our material. So there is no harm to their health for working in our product. All the conditions are clean, safe, standardized. They work with organic and safe substances, so there is no risk. Whereas, for instance, we know, like in the animal leather industry, most of it is tanned with chrome and heavy metals, toxic chemicals that not just impact the health of the people tanning leather, but all the water residues which contain all these nocive substances are released in most cases to the environment and affecting the community and generating health problems besides environmental impact and affecting the flora and fauna. Here is totally the opposite. I mean, just imagine the waste from our cactus process is directed to the food industry. That's
Yes,
how
that's
clean and
amazing.
safe it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we sell it through the food industry. In Czech Republic,
Beers.
we have people doing beer. Well, it's made in Mexico, but it's export to Czech Republic. We have in Thailand some customers that import this cactus fiber and make capsules for dietary supplements. So it has a lot of value in terms of nutrition, but at the same time, we don't compete with the food industry. We stimulate the plantation of this plant and add value in another chain to create more opportunities and stimulate their rural economy. Um, there is a surplus in Mexico of this plant, and most people that have lands, they don't know what to do with it. They just leave it there. And so now they approach us and let us know that they have it, and we are finding ways to collaborate, to work with them. Of course, this is a process, but eventually it is within our code of conduct to contribute and invite them to participate in the production chain of our products.
Okay, unfortunately, we only have 5 minutes left. So, well, we want to again thank you for accompanying us in this interview, and for all of our producers, people interested in Desserto. We wanted to ask you, what is the minimum of purchase? What is the minimum that a company or a designer or anyone involved in the industry can have the minimum of this purchase? That we're all very interested in this question, because obviously here in
Yes.
our users are from Italy, Spain, and Ecuador, so we would like to know
Yeah,
about the
sometimes
minimum of
innovations
purchase.
get really expensive because all the investment that are involved in these innovations. So most of times, so the MOQs are about 1,000 meters, 500 meters for one color. So in this case, we also have a huge machines that requires a 300 meters for each production line. But we want to help all the smaller brands, all designers, all the students. So we invest in our own stock to be able to sell from 1 meter to 10 meters, 100 meters. So if a designer or student also, or a brand needs just 1 meter for doing a prototype or a project or a small brand, then we have the possibility to sell from 1 meter to whatever they need.
Wow, so basically you guys are fashion revolutionary right now. So We only have 3 minutes left. We want to thank you so much for accompanying us in this interview. For us, it's important to show that there can be a change in the fashion industry, and obviously in the future, with any innovations, we wanted to ask you our last question. Do you have future plans on expanding your company? And if so, what are they?
Yes, we have some important plans in the future of Desserto. Now we have only one warehouse here in Mexico, I mean the main warehouse. So we want to help all the brands around the world to reduce logistic cost. So what we plan to do in a short medium time is to open new warehouse around the world. For example, one in Europe, one in Asia. And in this case, our clients won't need to pay for the shipping cost from Mexico to Australia or Mexico to Europe, because they will have already the material there in Europe or Asia. So, or in the short time, it is the main goal to open new warehouse around the world to reduce shipping costs to other clients.
Okay, right now I will have to end this meeting soon. Unfortunately, we have only 2 minutes. So on behalf of the Green Side of Pink, we would like to thank you for your interview, for your time and the opportunity to really interview a company that is changing not only the fashion industry, but the perception of consumption in general, changing the views of labor work, social and cultural activity. So on behalf of the Green Side of Pink, we are really happy to have you guys here today. On behalf of all our users, we are thankful for this interview, and we would like to hear from you soon in all these countries that you plan on importing your material, and also when your company decides to expand. We are very, very excited to hear from you soon. So we want to thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulate you for your amazing work in society in general, not only in the fashion industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So now, as we only have 1 minute, I'll have to say goodbye, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Nice meeting you also. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.